While I was at a large event for franchise attorneys with regulators leading the courses there were several presenters who discussed that the IFA was going to propose cleanup legislation to the California SB 919 legislation. Now, this cleanup legislation was not clear as to what it was going to be included, but there was a point where it was alluded to that the legislation must be changed. Now, this is the section that they referenced in the bill that needs that modification. It's section 31210. We'll add a link below so that you can read it, but in analyzing it further, it appears that the reason this needs to be changed is because it creates a loophole for the parties the bill is attempting to regulate. The loophole is for internal reps and for FSOs. Now, if you want to know what that loophole is, go ahead and fill out the form attached and we'll send you a memo related to it. Now, for all the brokers who are still concerned about the remaining items that make the bill incredibly difficult to comply with, the first and most important is reporting in real time versus reporting on the previous year's data. Now, today, this issue still exists. The authors of the bill, the IFA, have stated that the bill does not request reporting in real time. This is confusing because I have had many conversations with regulators, legislators, and legal counsel about this. And currently, the only thing that's reported on the previous year is the last year's brands sold and units of each brand. The reporting for the services, compensation ranges, and the brands represented are still reported in real time. My hope is that since IFA is stating publicly that the reporting is for the previous year, that when they do the cleanup legislation in January, that they will also include information about reporting on last year's data, not the current year. However, today, the statement that the requirement is to report on last year's data is only a partial truth. It is only true for one component of the 4 components the broker needs to report on and update regularly. The 4 components are services offered, compensation ranges, brands represented, and brands awarded in the previous year with the number of units awarded in each. Now, as stated in previous posts, we are not at the place where all is fair and reasonable yet. But since there is a public statement that this is the intention, we hope that IFA will support improvements to make the law workable and functional and not a trap for brokers. We are on the watch for that cleanup legislation, and when and if it hits the docket, we'll be there advocating for workable solutions to our reasonable request for reasonable compliance. Just simply allow us to report on the previous year's data, not the current year, so that brokers are not unnecessarily creating opportunities for lawsuits. And again, those lawsuits would not be for bad acts, but for bad or excessive administration errors. Remember, incorrect or missing registrations are also called fraud in the regulators and franchise attorneys world. And not registering while operating in the state was the #1 reason that I heard for rescission from franchisor attorneys at that franchise legal event. So rescission means the return of the entire investment and everything a franchisee spent to open their business. All of that plus some gets returned to the franchisee. Now, the alternative is there's loopholes and opting out of the state. Unfortunately, the bill passed, but it is set to create losses for the state if these things are not cleaned up. According to the International Franchise Association's 2024 Franchising Economic Outlook report, California is projected to experience a decline in franchise growth with an anticipated decrease of 4.2% in franchise establishments. That's the slowest expected franchise growth in the entire country. Now, this is for one of the biggest states and one of the largest economies in the world. California is on the trend to reduce opportunities for small business and franchise development if this change is not corrected. Now, these simple changes to help manage compliance are necessary for adoption of this bill and to not further harm franchise growth in California. Remember, you are the leader we've been waiting for, and I'm just here to help you remember you are meant for more. So give me your heart. I promise I'm gonna be good to it. Click that heart below and follow me if you're a courageous leader who's ready to stop honoring fear, to start operating in the zone, and to step into your potential.